show you. I've got a lot of cards. The other thing that we've, Jane and I have spread out on the table, mostly Jane, because she did the fabulous trip last year, went to a couple of continents, and just some ideas from libraries and other places that are doing literacy programs. And I travelled to Boston to give a paper about the Armidale project, and also to see friends. So I've got different brochures and things from libraries I visited in Virginia and Maryland while I was there, and Pennsylvania. The We Publish app. So this is it. It costs around $6, I think. $7. Ooh. So petty cash. Now, when you open it up, you will have a few different options. No. Really helps if. Oh, that's the screen that you get. There. Now, this library will have all the books that have been made with the We Publish app. We've got Make New Book option, How to Make a Book, which will take you through it, and About Kids Own Publishing. There. I love these little felt. These are a great example of something that are terrific to make. Although these were made and then glued. This was a project we did in Cockatoo, Gembrook, and hills around Melbourne. But these little buttons, you see, you can put those on for eyes, photograph it, and then use it in a project like this. So we are making a new book. Right, so it will bring up, we have to decide our title.
So this is something that you'd need, if you did as a project, you'd need everyone to have an iPad, or could you just use the one?
You can use the one iPad, so you could do, but it is more suited to a communal book project. So where the children are, but it's ideally suited to something where the children are already making something. So if you are, for example, as I said, Lego Club, or if you've got an artist in, it's ideally suited for an artist activity. So we'll put, actually I'm going to call it Cats and Dogs for obvious reasons in a minute.
Yeah,
and the author, it just seemed to be the one that I got. So by YPS, so create book. All right, now what I've got here are, this is my first page of my 8-page book. So there's a few options. The first one is text. Now I can choose the typeface that I want there. I can choose what kind of writing in white, writing in black, but I can also just draw with my finger like that. I can, and do a finer line as well. So I can do all kinds of mark making with that. I can then choose a picture, and there are preloaded textures in here. The great thing about this is if I choose this texture, then I can trim it. So I'll just try to trim it like a good little patchworker. Do I want that? Yes, I do. Now I can place that in my artwork like that. And I can also place pictures from a file. I'd like to access my photos. Okay. So I'll just go to my camera roll, and I was taking pictures, you know, remember, of all your pictures there. So I'm going to use my friend Sue's cover, because I think that's the only bit she did.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
No. And I'm just going to trim it, and because it's about cats and dogs, I'll just do an upside down cat shape. There he is. Don't really like that, so I'll say no. Go back to that. Yeah. Oh, that's much better. And then I can make it. I can make it bigger. I can make it bigger. Ta-da. Okay. So I'm going to close that one. Oh, you idiot! You can tell I'm really. Some tips: don't let Margaret drive. That's the tip. Upside down. So there's my book. Let's just open that and go on to the next page. I think That's my next page. So we can do, and you see how quick it is? Do it really, really quickly and put something together. But you can see the applications that you might have. For example, if you're doing Anzac, you're doing an Anzac thing. If you're doing something where people are present and responding to a display, you can see where could just be fantastic for recording what's happening and going with it. Alrighty, so we want, let's put, this is a great picture. Yum, this cat. It was alleged this cat had too much food. As we know, cats think there's no such thing. So I'll say yes, I want that picture on there. And then I want to do some text, so I will just do some text. Good. So I have to say what kind I want to do. So, and then I can just type my text there. Too much food. Too much food. So I just move my cat out of the way. Decide where I want it. And we all know little people, as little as 2, are very, very adept with their fingers. So they can do this. They can do the placement. Great parent and child activity.
Can you change the rotation of that so it's bigger, so that your little white bit, the part that you're actually working on, is
this part
fills the page? Yeah.
It fills the screen, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
That's only a mini.
Good.
Yeah.
This is only a mini
well,
iPad too. Yeah, but yes. So say we want to just make that a bit bigger like that. Okay. Yeah. So and so on and so on. I actually took a photo. I'll see if I can do it. Where I took a photo of the. This would be a good way to do it. Of if you wanted to put cataloguing and publication information. Let's just make it State Library. Won't worry about the rest of the funders for today. And then just twist that around. Have that on my last page.
Is it then
That's
printable?
It is then printable. You email it to print it. So you would, if you were doing this obviously in a library, you would email it to your library account or to your account. As I say, if it's a child or a family who's been making it with you, you copy them into their email so they can then print it. But if you have your printer
Does
set
that
up,
print out in this sort of format?
it will, if you send it to an A3 colour printer, it will print out in that format.
As a hot dog book.
As a hot dog, it will print out as a hot dog book. So yes, it will. And if you could copy in We Publish, or copy in Kids Own as well, that would be great, so that they can see that the app is being used and they can add it to their library. So yeah, that's the way that it's printed.
So this is generally available for public to purchase
Absolutely,
as well? Yeah.
absolutely. It was Apple's list of best kids apps. So it's been very well received. There are a few bookmaking apps out there, but this one is one of the easiest and simplest. Even Margaret can use it. So there's one that someone's made earlier, so we can, this is the other thing, our animals by child.
A child.
That's a good one. There is a page, I can't remember where it is, where you can look at a colourful bird, 2 koalas. And the beauty of this application is that with sometimes a parent and child will be making a little book together and the parent will write what the child says, especially if the child is young. One of the most successful ones was Victoria was using it with a 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old just loved the pattern page. Oops. And selected their favourite pattern, and then the child was doing that, and she would say yes, and then the child would say bird, So she would write bird, and so on, and you can really see that would be terrific as well. So, any other questions or any other questions about this part of it? Just a quick go round about how you feel about your books and what you learned, what you noticed while you were making it. We talked a little bit about applications. Do you see applications in your?
Yes,
because
and
this
I've
builds
come
on
very
the work
close
that you've
to
done.
doing this with kids. Yeah, we get lots of kids doing everything, and we don't do a lot of hands-on stuff in the sessions anymore because huge numbers. We do a lot of interactive drama and so on, but we do have kids' own book collection that I've had going for a decade, just through me encouraging kids to bring stories if they want them, to get parents past thinking it has to be marked or fit certain criteria. Lots of kids really want to do their books. I did some make your own storybook judging, and you get this great pile and have to pick 3, and then you think, what about those other poor darlings? And that's what initiated it really. And so we may well do that ourselves as a small after school, so we don't get 50, 80 kids wanting to do it all at once. And whether we make our cubby or get another cubby, that's something to look at a bit further down the track. So yeah, it's really
How do you display them at the moment?
We photocopy the children's original onto as close to the size. Some will bring them as books with staples, and copying is a bit dodgy. But basically, we just ring bind on our own binder, and so they're all very similar format. They just look standard, but the kids get their original back because I maintain that's what the parents want.
It's very
forever.
and then you can
that's important
republish.
to them.
So if you have your original, you can always
When we
republish.
started, we used to keep an extra copy of what we put up, but I must have 500 stories there now after a decade. Some of them are group classes that classes used to come as regular visits. The bike riding class, that teacher had kids doing things, but most of them are individuals. And some children have been writing, they write all their childhood. They start when they're 6 and they keep going, and they go, I want to find my book, and we've resorted even to putting them in magazine type boxes by their surname because they can never find their own in just the general display of heaps.
So how are they displayed? Are they
just on shelves,
in the general collection?
Yeah, in the children's area on a shelf that was spacious. We put some stands up for the more current ones, and there's piles horizontal of some of the bigger ones. Some authors like Liliana Stafford have come in the past, mostly Liliana actually, and she, because she's got artistic tendencies as well as being an author, has done workshops following an exposition of her work, workshops with the older kids, and made a group book, and some might be just an animal or whatever in the same style, like the collage with the tissue paper that she used, like for the elephant one. And we've sort of got these big A3 books. So as long as kids bring something that's really an A3 size, we just copy it. So yeah, they do look a bit samey. This is more well, these are the same sort of format too, I suppose. So yeah, just on shelves with a bit of a sign, kids' own books. Bring it in, so we'll make it into a book. Yeah, get a prize.
Karen.
I'm so inspired, I tell you. I not only want to borrow the Book Cubby, I want to get our men's shed to build one, so
Yes.
very good. But I was actually thinking, I'm quite proud of my book, I must say. I'm not a very good artist, but I'm going to go home and show my love. But I did think that we will do this for a July school holiday. It's pretty miserable weather out there, and I think this is something that the kids will enjoy doing. But also for Seniors Week, we've been looking at sort of seniors activities for the seniors to do, and I really enjoyed growing up my stories my granny used to tell me. Now I think some of our seniors could do this with the story from their girlhood, boyhood.
I will just show you, just on that.
What was
I made it about 5 minutes once with that very thing, notion in mind, and I used to live in Melville, so I did my little book of Melville memories. So I did a Google map of where my house was, cut that out, and then I searched the catalogue for photos from where I lived, had some family photos that I copied and then cut out, and my birth notice, and just put them, you know, and so again, some from the area, my school where I'd gone, and just that was it. So, and I mean, I literally did that in 5 minutes. Another one I did, I got a whole lot of State Library photos, because that's what I have, from the zoo, and put them all onto into a Word document, so they're all about that size, and then just printed them out and cut them out, and then I just told a little story about my memories from the zoo. So, you know, catching the ferry, the elephants, and just used a little bit of collage and other maps and things like that.
Show me,
too.
Jake.
So again, you know, we're sort of great intergenerational seniors working with grandchildren, you know, or education then and now.
Yep.
Or just, inspiration for ideas. Sometimes, you know, particularly grown-ups are probably, what am I going to write about?
Yes.
But if they've got a theme for something, it's very quick
And that's
easy.
something you can share with grandchildren.
Yeah.
That's right, and you're talking about the Kununurra example
the
as
Grey
well.
Nomads really got into it.
That's also a really great way to include, you know, local history now is in the national curriculum,
Yep.
and
Yes.
we've been struggling to find a way to link, because our local history area, a lot of the stuff in there is geared towards adults and seniors, and trying to link kids,
That's
like
right.
school visits and stuff
Or to
coming
present
in.
it in a way that
Those
is,
ones are really interesting way of presenting
Work
something
with the
really
school
simple.
and get the kids to take a photo of their house or something like
Yes.
that and bring that along,
Yeah.
and then you could get a picture of an old house, you know, or I don't know, just different, lots of different things.
I think
but,
could
yeah,
be really great
yeah.
because you're looking for a way to
We're
sort of
looking-
digest
yeah.
that material
Yeah.
in such a way that
We've had a few questions from schools, you know, visiting council and learning the history of the council and stuff, but
Yeah.
we're thinking more along the lines of trying to incorporate it into our local history week.
absolutely.
and
Because
stuff
this
Can you
is
see
perfect for local
possibilities
history
from
week.
this now
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you've done this? I mean, I just think, especially with this,
Yeah, that's perfect.
if you've got any digitised material, you could just incorporate that into this model. It's very good. Jill, thanks Jack so much. Nice to meet you. Bye.
We did something similar, well, not that pattern, a few years ago for Book Week, and we do similar things. So I'll definitely be using that for Book Week. But we have extension activities as well, so we might use something like this. We had a lady who did like those steampunk collectors things. You know, we have wallets with trinkets and things and hundreds of bits of photos and other things hanging off it. These could be used in multiple of those and
Yes.
adults as a craft thing as well as seniors to collect memories. So,
Yeah.
great.
Jodie, did you have anything to add about what you learned or thought or?
Okay, well,
You already
in
done
addition to what I learnt from
Jane.
Jane here, as to how we could incorporate it into the history stuff, I've kind of, I actually being able to do one and realising.
You hadn't done one as a teacher before? Or?
No, we've done
Did you?
books.
Yeah.
We've had kids make books, but not anything quite so simple as this. Their books are usually a fiction story. It's not usually anything about
That's right.
themselves,
Yeah.
and it's we try and actually publish individual picture books for the kids, but they're 16, 24 pages as opposed to something quite quick and easy, which is I do like that idea because you get halfway through a story and it's like, okay, what's going to happen? And so a lot of kids towards
Well,
the
they
end
run out
don't
of
finish.
steam.
They don't
Yes,
have an ending
that's
to
right.
it, or they feel rushed to try and finish it, and so they're not happy with how it finished. Whereas something shorter
Yes.
makes it a little bit easier to come up with
It's beginning,
middle, and end.
beginning, middle, end. It's a very, very basic thing, and sometimes you'll see some of the ones are, they've started to write a novel and they dribble
And it
away.
works out very much like that. It's the 3 pages.
It is. That's right. That's right. So the other thing you'll find at festivals, you were talking about having 50 people doing it at once. You can have 50 people doing it at once, but they will all do it at their own pace. So some children will finish in 3 minutes, and some children will still be there under the table being dragged out at the end of the session.
Like us.
So there is a natural, there's a natural rhythm to it. It gets into a rhythm that's pretty frantic.
I was going to
but-
say what we've found as well at those, you get a lot of parents with babes in arms, or and they think, oh no, Mum, she's too young. And we say, well, you make a book for her.
Yes.
Or even if there's a brother and sister, and they sort of, I don't know, why don't you write a book for your baby, and then they've got that.
Yeah. No. it's
So it's all the little tweaks and
All the
twists
little
that you learn about.
Yeah,
Little ripples.
Mum can do
Right.
one, or
Yeah.
Kira can do one at the same time
Yes.
as they're doing one. And
Yes.
so then there's less chance of them doing it for them.
Well, that's right. They want to make one, make your own. Yeah.
And I found a temporary way of displaying them. We've got like a wire frame which has got perspex slots in it to put community information pamphlets and things, one after the other. Holds about 50. It's perfect for these. You can double them up and then you can move it, wheel it around the library, and that's worked out really well.
The old washing line is good too.
Yeah.
Students from stream, and then you can take them from
A few times that we've looked at getting it in, it's been booked out, so I've kind of thought, oh, we won't do that. But today, I suppose I'm realising how much you can do it without necessarily just having a book cubby.
Yeah, no.
And then if you get Book Cubby later on,
You've
can,
got things already put in there to
yeah.
start with.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And they can do it.
Heidi, did you?
I had fun.
That's great. That's great.
It's the first time I'd made my own book, but I've
Mhm.
helped lots of kids make theirs.
Yes.
So it was good to
Yeah.
actually try it.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
I think the same too, Heidi, that you have seen it, you looked at the template before, you know how it all works, but to actually make one, you really appreciate what people doing it, especially the kids, you know, get out of it, because it's that ownership, and we're all sitting there thinking, oh, this is a bit weird doing this craft stuff, but how quickly do you all get into it? We're all quiet, you know, and that sense of ownership, but like you said, it's a small finite thing, so, you know, you do actually feel quite chuffed when you finish it, don't you, and when you get your printed copy.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's quite interesting.
We've tied our bookmaking in the holidays with a theme, so we had a funny sort of themed or humorous themed school holiday program. We asked the children to make joke books, and so we've tied it in with the theme.
Giving them a theme though also gives them that kind of crutch as to what to
Yes,
write about,
exactly.
rather than sitting there for
Yes.
like 20 minutes thinking.
Sometimes that's absolutely the hardest part.
Yeah, it's just that idea.
And I just see so many uses, because kids love to have those little books and to make something themselves, you know. Share
be
it,
published.
like you said, if seniors do it and share it with grandchildren, and you do the republished version, and you can email it to friends and family overseas.
Yes,
you know,
that's
so
right.
many potential
Also the
uses.
fact that it doesn't have to be just pencils and crayons, but you know, I
Yeah.
really like the tactile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, it's better if it's not pencils and crayons. Yes.
Sensory thing again.
Yeah.
And they photocopy so beautifully, like feathers
They
and
really do,
crepe
yes.
paper
It
and
really
things.
pops, yeah.
That's great.
I've also used it for Adult Learners Week as well as with English second language, or students learning English contacted the local TAFE, and they had a couple of classes come over, and again used shopping catalogues and things like that for them to write about
And it's a
recipes
beautiful
and
model
things.
for other languages.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah,
model.
can work
And
with-
this, if people have their own iPads and their own language, they're making books in language, which is just fabulous.
Yeah, because we've had some parents do nursery rhyme books for us, again as a training thing, but they were, we got one in Chinese, and we've had counting books in Malay and all sorts of things, so yeah, just it's endless really.
It is. It is. It's almost fabulous.
Okay,
Yes.
we probably need to finish now.
We
I'll
do.
just turn off the video.